Hey everybody, I'm PeanutButterGamer, and this is the final Zelda month video. We've had some good times, and we've had some bad times. Mostly bad times, and it's sad that it's coming to an end, but thus is life. I did a few silly videos this year, but I wanted to make sure we had some real Zelda love and discussion in Zelda month, and what better game to talk about than the game that inspired me to start Zelda month in the first place all the way back in 2011, Skyward Sword. I know that a lot of people love this game, and I know that because I read comments on my videos and messages on Facebook and Twitter of people telling me that they love it. But at the same time, it does seem to get a lot of flack on the internet. As someone who genuinely loves Skyward Sword and has since it came out, I wanted to present a more positive outlook on the game as an alternative. But I wasn't sure if I could do the game justice on my own, so I gave up. See you all next year for Zelda Month 2015, bye-bye! Okay, just kidding. I went over a few really solid options, and when none of those worked out, I called my friend Yungtown.
Hey everyone, I am Yungtown, and I absolutely love Zelda. PBG and I actually may be long lost twins or something because we have talked about The Legend of Zelda for countless hours, particularly Skyward Sword being the main topic of discussion. It's a game we both hold near and dear, and we would finally like to share some of the reasons why we love it so with you, the internet.
Since we're talking about Skyward Sword, you would probably expect us to address some of the most popular complaints that people have with the game.
One of those complaints being that it's linear. Now, people have come to expect typically an open world to explore when it comes to a Zelda game, and while this one can definitely be linear at times, other people praise its shift of focus at being arguably the most story-driven Zelda game in the franchise.
Some people have issues with the motion controls, but personally, I didn't have a lot of problems with it. I always felt that they were really precise, and I only had to recalibrate a handful of times.
Another issue with the game is that the overworld is barren, while on the other hand, Skyloft is very much alive and possesses many activities and different things to discover.
And a lot of people didn't enjoy fighting the imprisoned and Girahim multiple times, but those fights aside, I feel like the game had some of the more enjoyable boss fights in the franchise, and partially because of the motion controls. We could go back and forth like that all day, but that would be pointless. People are gonna like what they like, and people like Zelda for many different kinds of reasons. We don't want to tell people what they should or shouldn't like, or what they do or don't want in a Zelda game. The purpose of this video isn't necessarily to change the opinions of anyone who doesn't like Skyward Sword, because we can't. As mentioned earlier, we just want to gush about Skyward Sword and talk about some of the reasons why it's special to us.
And usually our conversations revolve around some of the most subtle yet important aspects and themes of the story. So, let's do it.
To start off, we wanted to address a somewhat controversial subject, Link's companion and guide, Fi.
Isn't it pronounced Fi?
Shut up, Yungtown. And by shut up, Yungtown, I mean please talk about Fi, Yungtown.
Okay, yeah, it's strange. I would have never guessed that Fi would be associated with being annoying or that character that would detract from the overall experience. I've always liked her and felt that her connection with Link is one of the most essential relationships in understanding his role as the goddess's chosen hero.
Fi's character comes at a very vital moment in the game. She's the first voice you hear after Zelda is knocked out of the sky. And after a brief but somber conversation with Kaepora, Zelda's father, Link is left alone with nothing but his thoughts after having his best friend snatched away from him in a split second. Right at the moment you feel the most lost and unsure of what to do or what's coming next is when Fi, Link's guide, shows up. And it's this entire sequence following Fi to the goddess statue that really hooked me on the whole game.
Fi is the spirit of the Master Sword, and her sole purpose is to accompany the hero on his journey. At first, she isn't really anything other than a guide, telling you where to go, but she eventually cements herself as a main character that's essential to the story and develops into more than just an assistant. As the game progresses, Link grows to care for Fi, and Fi learns from him the essence of the human spirit.
She evolves from this sort of majestic yet robotic and seemingly lifeless character into your friend. And you're genuinely sad when she has to leave, especially after her touching and heartbreaking goodbye. When I first awoke and began this task, I perceived it as merely serving my function as a servant to her grace. However, I have come to consider the information corresponding to our time together among the most precious data I have on record.
Though it's not really goodbye. Since Fi resides in the Master Sword, she'll always accompany the hero in his many incarnations. And that's something I found to be very heartwarming. Not only is this moment touching in terms of Skyward Sword alone, it also adds a whole new dimension to the already existing Zelda games we know and love. There are a lot of things that are unique about Zelda and Link's relationship in Skyward Sword, the first being their friendship. It is unique in this installment, seeing that they are not just friends, but close childhood friends. Gapura says early in the game, "But you've known him since you were both very little. You should know better than to fret about him." This is something that hasn't been done in any other Zelda game except for Minish Cap. But Skyward Sword is the only game where the both of them have an average social status. In this installment, Zelda is not a princess. The royal family hasn't even been established yet.
It's made very clear just how good of friends Link and Zelda really are. It's a very big point of emphasis, especially early in the game. Zelda is not just friendly to Link. She criticizes his lack of effort in preparing for the wing ceremony, and just generally pushes him to reach his full potential, even when they were just regular citizens of Skyloft with trivial everyday problems. She even literally pushes him.
Which is something that Link desperately needs. Despite being the naturally gifted hero, he's very spacey. He literally has his head in the clouds. As Zelda puts it, recently Link hasn't been practicing much at all for the ceremony, and even when he's out riding his loft wing, he's just lazily gliding around, probably daydreaming.
But Link and Zelda aren't only childhood friends. For the first time, there's an obvious romantic interest between them as well. Gapura even points out Zelda's past jealousy of Link and his Loftwing's connection. "And judging by how jealous you were that day, I'd say the friendship he shared with his bird didn't go unnoticed by you, my dear."
Unlike other installments in the franchise, the song that accompanies their first in-game conversation is not Zelda's lullaby. It's actually a theme titled Romance. And this further establishes the fact that the connection between them is more complex than your average Link and Zelda relationship.
So they're not just friends or just romantic interests, they're both. And I think this is something that's more important than it may appear on the surface level. As I played the game, I was compelled to complete whatever task was laid in front of me because I genuinely cared about Zelda's character and was concerned for her well-being. They make you feel attached to Zelda by making it obvious that Link is attached to Zelda.
In fact, Link doesn't even seem interested in anything Fi has to say until she mentions Zelda. He even runs up to the sword after she mentions her. But that's not to say that Zelda isn't a strong character herself. She has a sort of royal authority to her even early on. She stands up to Groose and his lackeys way before she discovered her true identity. Link isn't even considered important at the beginning of the story. It's Zelda that's important. As Girahim points out, not that your life or death has any consequence. It's just the girl that matters now, and I can sense her here, just beyond this door.
In the end, Link and Zelda's relationship is the driving force of the entire narrative, and even though they're apart for much of their journey, Link always carries Zelda's sailcloth and goddess harp, which are essential items throughout the game.
Because the game is the prequel and first in the timeline, it's important to note that the game's theme is also about awakening, or birth. In the narrative, all the main characters go through their own process of awakening.
And let's start off with our main character, Link. Of course, there's his transition between a normal everyday guy to the goddess's chosen hero, but the game also gives multiple literal examples of Link going through or needing to go through awakening. For example, Groose yelling at Link early in the game, "Would you wake up, straighten up, and grow a backbone already?"
Skyward Sword starts off as many Zelda games do, with Link having a prophetic nightmare. A mysterious voice, which turns out to be Fi, appears and tells Link, "The time has come for you to awaken." While this may come off as insignificant at first, it serves a more meaningful purpose by establishing the theme of the game.
Fi isn't just simply trying to wake up Link from his dream, because she repeats the phrase a second time, telling him once again to awaken. And who better to wake him from his sleep than Zelda? She sends him a letter via Loftwing, and both in the letter as well as multiple times throughout the game, she refers to him as Sleepyhead.
Link having to awaken his inner hero is also mentioned by Zelda. She tells him towards the end of the game, but spirit alone wasn't enough. You had to overcome many trials and awaken the hero within yourself so that you could wield that supreme power.
The theme of awakening also plays a part in Zelda's role as the goddess. As the spirit maiden, she must travel to each goddess statue in order to purify her body and remember her past life as the goddess Hylia. While this process is important, in similar fashion to Link, her awakening has a dual meaning in the narrative.
She also needs to be awoken from an actual sleep. In order to secure the seal that imprisons Demise, Zelda must enter into a sleep with no end unless Link can locate the Triforce and use its power to defeat Demise. That and that alone can save Zelda from her deep sleep.
When Demise is finally gone, there will be no more need for the seal that binds him, and I'll be able to wake up. So I'm going to ask you a favor, Sleepyhead. Ever since we were kids, I'd always be the one to wake you up when you slept in. But this time, when all of this is over, will you come to wake me up?
On the other hand, Demise, the ultimate antagonist, goes through his own awakening, both in the obvious sense, with Girahim attempting to awaken him throughout the game, as well as in the form of the imprisoned boss fight in which he repeatedly breaks free or awakens from his seal. Once he's finally defeated, Impa says that his spirit must not reawaken. He must never be allowed to threaten the world again.
Even Groose, a supporting character, goes through a process of awakening. In fact, he changes more drastically than any other character in the game.
In the beginning, he has greater aspiration than Link. He wants everything Link has and ends up having, yet Link, somewhat lazy and airheaded, is the one who holds Zelda's affection, and ends up being the chosen hero that Groose feels he should be.
But once he grows as a character, he finally understands and accepts his role, which allows him to not only help Link defeat the imprisoned and protect the sealed grounds, but also indirectly and directly save Zelda. He's even a visibly more happy person because of it.
Groose is such an interesting character in his own right that we could probably make a whole video just about him.
But we're not. As mentioned before, Yungtown and I have talked a lot about Zelda and Skyward Sword specifically, and we just kind of wanted to give you guys a little summary of our conversations about the game. So hopefully we did our conversations justice, and hopefully we managed to shed some light on some of the details of the game and its story that you hadn't thought of before. Yungtown.
Skyward Sword is definitely a tough subject to tackle because of how criticized it is, which is why we wanted to offer a much more positive outlook and explained why we considered it to be special. Well, thanks for having me on, PBG. Until next time.
So that wraps up Zelda Month for 2014. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed it, and I'm sure I'll be back next year for another Zelda Month. And until then, I'll have lots of non-Zelda related content as usual, so hopefully you look forward to that. Bye-bye! Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to check out Yungtown, and I suggest you do, then click this link right here. It'll take you to one of his videos about Wind Waker, I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, Wind Waker. I'll just do that one. He's also got some raps and other goofy stuff on his channel, so check it out. If you enjoyed this video, then why not share it around like what? It's like 5 in the morning right now. I don't even know what I'm saying. Subscribe! Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm actually curious as to what you guys think about this video. It's a little different than anything I've ever done before, so maybe we do it again if you guys liked it. And I'm also curious what you guys think about Skyward Sword. I know it's a pretty polarizing subject, and I'm kind of looking forward to reading some of you guys' discussions. Of course, you can always follow me on Facebook and Twitter. And if you guys don't mind, I think I'm gonna go take a sleep. I was gonna say a nap, but it's gonna be like a straight up sleep. I'm just gonna go to sleep. I haven't even slept. Bye-bye! Yungtown. You have anything to say? Yungtown? This is kind of heavy.